Midnight Files, Case File Number 001, The Town on No Map, File 01, The Signal, Recovered Evidence, January 14th, 2027, Blackwood National Forest, Satellite Archive, Status, Unexplained. At 3:16 a.m., the satellite captured only forest. No roads, no buildings, no lights, no signs of life. At 3:17 a.m., the same satellite captured a town, an entire town, streetlights glowing, smoke rising from chimneys, cars parked beside houses, a church standing in the center. Everything looked normal, and that was the problem, because 1 minute later, at 3:18 a.m., the town was gone. Only forest remained. Same coordinates, same satellite. 3 images taken exactly 1 minute apart. No editing was found, no artificial generation, no missing data, no explanation. The recovered archive gave the town one name, Greyhollow. But investigators were not disturbed by the town alone. They were disturbed by the man standing near the church. One figure beneath a streetlight, completely still, looking upward as if he knew something was watching him. Nobody could identify him. But later, every person connected to Greyhollow described the same man, the man who smiled. Every year, thousands of people disappear. Most are found. Some return with no memory of where they had been, but a few leave behind evidence that should not exist. A photograph, a recording, a map, or sometimes a signal. This is one of those cases. 2 days earlier, David Carter came home tired. He ran a small investigative channel called Midnight Files. His viewers followed him because he did not fake fear. He did not pretend shadows were ghosts. He did not call every abandoned building haunted. David had one rule. If there was evidence, he followed it. If there was no evidence, he walked away. That night, he had just returned from filming an abandoned factory outside the city. The internet called it cursed. Locals said voices came from the basement after midnight. Some claimed workers had disappeared there years ago. David spent 6 hours inside. He found broken windows, old machines, graffiti, and 2 teenagers hiding in a storage room, trying to scare him for views. No curse, no mystery, no episode. He dropped his camera bag beside the couch and sat at his desk. Another dead file, another fake legend. He removed the memory card from his camera and opened the footage. Nothing worth uploading. David leaned back and rubbed his eyes. That was when he heard it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow taps. Not on the door. Lower, near the floor. David looked toward the entrance. Silence. Then again. Knock, knock, knock. He stood up and opened the apartment door. The hallway was empty. No footsteps. No elevator sound. No neighbor walking away. Only a small black package sitting on the floor. No shipping label. No courier logo. No return address. Only one name written across the top. David Carter. David looked down both sides of the hallway. Nothing. He picked up the package. It was cold. He carried it inside and locked the door. For a moment, he just stared at it. Then he opened it. Inside was an old hard drive. Nothing else. No note, no warning, no explanation. David smiled faintly. Another anonymous tip. He had received strange things before. Blurred photographs, fake recordings, edited videos. People wanted him to believe, but David did not believe easily. He connected the hard drive to his laptop. The screen flickered once. A single folder appeared. 317. David clicked it. Inside were 3 files. Frame_0316. Frame_0317. Frame_0318. He opened the first image. Forest. Nothing unusual. Endless trees. No buildings, no lights, no roads. He opened the second image and stopped. In the middle of that same forest, there was a town, a main road, small houses, street lights, a water tower, a church. Everything was clear. Everything looked real. David opened the third image. The town was gone. Only forest again. He reopened the second image, zoomed in. The town remained. Street lights, power lines, parked cars. A church standing at the center, like a dark nail driven into the earth. David checked the timestamps. 3:16 a.m., 3:17 a.m., 3:18 a.m., 1 minute apart. He checked the coordinates. Blackwood National Forest, protected land, no registered town, no public road, no construction record, no settlement history, nothing. David checked the metadata. Original satellite source, original timestamp, no editing layers, no artificial generation markers, no signs of manipulation. That was when he stopped smiling. He searched older satellite images. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Only forest. Greyhollow had never existed. Or it had never stayed long enough to be recorded. Then something caught his eye. Near the church. A dark shape beneath a streetlight. At first, David thought it was a shadow. Then he zoomed in. It was a person, standing in the middle of the road, completely still. The face was too blurred to recognize, but the posture felt wrong. Too straight, too calm, too aware, as if the person had been waiting for that exact moment. David increased the brightness. The laptop froze. A loading circle appeared. Then the screen went black. White letters typed themselves slowly. If you find the road. David leaned forward. Another line appeared. Don't answer the bell. Then the screen returned to normal. The message vanished. David checked the folder. Only 3 images. No text file. No hidden document. Nothing. He disconnected the hard drive. Connected it again. Still nothing. But when he opened frame_0317, the figure was still there, standing beneath the church light, waiting. David did not sleep that night. By morning, his desk was covered with notes, maps, printed frames, coordinate searches. He sent the metadata to an old contact who worked with satellite imaging. No story, no explanation, just the files. 2 hours later, the reply came. File looks clean. Where did you get this? David did not reply. He kept searching. Government land records, nothing. Old newspapers, nothing. Forest surveys, nothing. Missing town archives, nothing. Every answer led nowhere. Every search ended with the same conclusion. There was no town, and yet, there it was. At 9:43 p.m., the laptop made a notification sound. David looked up. The hard drive was connected. The internet was off. No program was running, but a new file had appeared. Road.jpg. David slowly opened it. The photograph showed a narrow asphalt road cutting through dense forest. Black, smooth, clean, no tire marks, no construction signs. Beside it stood an old metal sign. Welcome to Greyhollow. Population 847. At the bottom of the photograph, someone had written one sentence. If the road appears, you have 1 minute. David stared at the screen. The room felt colder. He looked again at the satellite frame, the town, the church, the man beneath the light. Then back at the road photograph. Same forest, same direction, same impossible place. David closed the laptop. For a long moment, he did not move. Then he stood up. He packed his camera, a flashlight, extra batteries, a voice recorder, power banks, printed satellite frames, and the hard drive. He told himself he was going there for proof. But deep down, he already knew. Something was waiting. At 11:42 p.m., David locked his apartment, walked to his car, started the engine, and drove into the night, without knowing it would be the last normal night of his life. The highway slowly disappeared behind him. City lights faded into darkness. The radio filled with static. David switched it off. Rain began falling against the windshield, soft at first, then harder. The wipers struggled to keep the road clear. According to the GPS, the coordinates were only 12 miles away. 11 miles. 10. Then, the screen froze. The road disappeared. No signal. David sighed and restarted the device. Nothing. His phone lost service a second later. No bars, no internet, no emergency network. Only silence. He looked through the windshield. The rain had become so heavy, he could barely see the road ahead. Lightning flashed. For just a moment, the trees beside the highway looked like people, standing, watching. Another flash. Only trees. David laughed nervously. You're imagining things. He kept driving. 3 minutes later, the rain stopped. Not gradually, instantly. 1 second the windshield was covered in water. The next, nothing. The road ahead was completely dry. David slowed the car. He looked into the rearview mirror. Behind him, it was still raining. A wall of rain, as if someone had drawn a line across the road. He stepped out of the car. The night was unnaturally quiet. No wind, no insects, no distant traffic, nothing. Only the sound of his own breathing. He checked his watch. 3:16 a.m. Exactly. A low vibration came from inside his backpack. The voice recorder had turned itself on. Static filled the speaker. David frowned. He hadn't touched it. He pressed stop. The recorder ignored him. The static continued. Then, a whisper. Too faint to understand. David held it closer. The whisper grew clearer. David! He spun around. Nobody. Only endless forest. Crunch. A twig snapped somewhere behind him. David raised his flashlight. The beam swept across the trees. Nothing. He took another step. Crunch. Another footstep. Not his. Someone else's, matching his pace. David stopped walking. The footsteps stopped too. He waited. Silence. He laughed under his breath. Animals. He started walking again. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The footsteps returned, perfectly matching his rhythm. David turned around. Nothing. No movement. No eyes reflecting in the flashlight. Only darkness. His heartbeat quickened. He walked faster. The footsteps walked faster. He stopped suddenly. So did they. David slowly backed away. His heels struck something solid. Not dirt, not rock. He pointed the flashlight downward. Black asphalt. He froze. There had been no road. He looked behind him. The forest floor ended exactly where he stood. Before him, a perfectly smooth road stretched into the darkness. Fresh asphalt. No cracks, no leaves, no tire marks, as if it had appeared only seconds ago. David whispered, "No." He slowly lifted the flashlight. Beside the road stood an old, rusted sign. "Welcome to Greyhollow. Population 847. David's mouth went dry. It was the exact sign from the photograph. His watch beeped 3:17 a.m. At that exact moment, fog began rising from the road. Not from the forest, from the asphalt itself. It rolled forward silently, swallowing the trees. Streetlights slowly appeared inside the fog. One, then another. Then 5 warm yellow lights, like a town waking up. Shapes emerged, roofs, windows, a water tower, telephone poles, an entire street. David couldn't believe what he was seeing. Greyhollow. It wasn't abandoned. It looked lived in. Smoke rose from chimneys. A porch swing moved gently. A bicycle rested against a fence. Somewhere. A kettle whistled. Everything looked ordinary, except there wasn't a single person, no children, no cars moving, no voices, no dogs barking, only silence. David slowly lifted his camera. "This is David Carter." His voice trembled. "I've reached the coordinates. I don't know what this place is, but it's real." The camera autofocus suddenly shifted. David frowned. It wasn't focusing on the street. It was focusing on someone. Standing near the church, David followed the camera. Beneath a lone streetlight stood a man, completely still, hands by his sides. Watching him, David zoomed in. The image sharpened. His breathing stopped. The man had David's face. Not exactly, but close enough to be impossible. The same eyes, the same jaw, the same height. Only one thing was different: the smile. It wasn't friendly. It wasn't threatening. It looked practiced, as if someone had learned how to smile without ever feeling happiness. The smiling man slowly lifted one hand, not waving, not calling, simply pointing toward the church. Then the church bell rang. Dong. Every light in Greyhollow went out. Darkness swallowed the town. A whisper echoed inside David's head. Soft, gentle, almost familiar. "David, come home." David's entire body froze. He knew that voice. He hadn't heard it since he was 12 years old, his mother's voice. He whispered, "Mom?" The voice returned, desperate this time. "Don't listen to him." Then the bell rang again. Dong! The fog rushed toward David. For a split second, he saw hundreds of motionless figures standing between the trees surrounding the town. Watching him, not moving, not speaking, only watching, David took one step backward, then another. He never looked away from the smiling man. The smile never left his face. David couldn't move. The smiling man stood beneath the streetlight, motionless. The smile never faded. David slowly raised his camera. The autofocus locked onto the man's face. The image became clearer. The same eyes, the same beard, the same scar above his left eyebrow. His own scar. David lowered the camera. The smiling man was still there. He lifted it again. The streetlight was empty. David lowered it. The smiling man had returned, standing in the exact same place, watching him. David whispered, "Who are you?" For the first time, the smiling man moved. He slowly turned his head toward the church, not toward David, toward the church, as if telling him, that's where the answers were. Then he disappeared. Not by running, not by fading, he was simply gone. The streetlight continued glowing, but there was no one beneath it. David looked around. Silence. The town hadn't changed. It still looked alive. A curtain moved inside one of the houses. A kettle continued whistling somewhere in the distance. Yet, there wasn't a single person. David slowly walked toward the church. Each step felt heavier than the last. The whisper returned, soft, gentle, almost comforting. Keep walking. You've come this far? The church doors stood open. David hesitated, then stepped inside. The air was colder. The smell of old wood filled the room. There was no altar, no cross, no paintings, only long wooden benches, and hanging from the ceiling, a thick bell rope. It swayed gently. Even though there was no wind, David stared at it. The whisper became louder. Ring the bell. You can still save her. David frowned. Save who? No answer. Only the whisper. Ring the bell. Bring her home. David slowly reached toward the rope. His fingers stopped only inches away. Then a scream shattered the silence. David! He jumped backward. The voice echoed through the empty church. Don't touch it! His heart nearly stopped. His mother's voice, older, weak, but unmistakable. David turned in every direction. Mom! No answer. Only silence. Then the church doors slammed shut. Bang! David ran toward them. Locked! He pulled with all his strength. Nothing. Another sound echoed above him. Footsteps. Slow, heavy, walking across the wooden ceiling. One step, another. Dust drifted down. David looked up. Nothing. The footsteps stopped. Then the bell rang by itself. Dong. The rope moved. No one was touching it. The sound shook the entire church. Outside, every light in Greyhollow went dark. David looked through one of the stained glass windows. People, dozens of them, standing in complete silence around the church. Men, women, children. They weren't moving. They weren't speaking. They were only watching. Their faces were hidden in darkness. One by one, they raised an arm. Every single one pointed toward the bell rope, as if begging David to ring it. The whisper became desperate. Do it. She's waiting. David closed his eyes. Something felt wrong. The voice wanted him to believe, but his mother's scream had warned him. He stepped away from the rope. Immediately, the whisper changed. Its gentle tone disappeared. It became angry, cold. You should have stayed away. The church trembled. The windows cracked. David threw himself against the doors. This time, they burst open. He ran, past the empty houses, past the silent streets, past the welcome sign. The fog swallowed Greyhollow behind him. He didn't stop until he reached his car. His hands shook so badly he dropped the keys twice. Finally, the engine started. He drove. He never looked back. By sunrise, he reached his apartment. He locked every door, closed every curtain, and immediately connected his camera to the computer. Most of the footage was corrupted. Black screens, static, broken audio. Only one clip survived. 5 seconds, the church, the bell, the smiling man. David paused the frame. Someone stood behind the smiling man, half hidden inside the church doorway. He zoomed in. The image slowly sharpened. A woman, older, thin, exhausted, holding an old lantern. David's eyes filled with tears. It was his mother, Elizabeth Carter, alive. Beneath the image, new words slowly appeared. Not typed, handwritten. The same handwriting David remembered from birthday cards when he was a child. David, if you're reading this, I couldn't stop you from finding Greyhollow. Please listen carefully. Whatever you hear, whatever you see, do not ring the bell. Do not believe the whispers. And whatever happens, do not become the next keeper. The screen suddenly went black. Every light inside David's apartment switched off. Silence. Then, far away, a church bell rang. Dong. David slowly walked toward the window. Across the street, beneath a broken streetlight, stood the smiling man, hands in his pockets, looking directly at David. For the first time, he wasn't smiling. He slowly raised one finger, pointed directly at David. Then he smiled. The streetlight exploded. Glass scattered across the road. David blinked. The man was gone. Only darkness remained. Case file number 001.